Hello and welcome to another episode of Rebuild Your Body presented by BluePhoenix Fitness, where it's our job to help you become the strongest version of you. I am your host, Cameron Makarchuk, and today we are talking all about proper and effective core training. So the reality is you and most other people are doing your core training, your ab training completely wrong, and I'm going to show you how I approach it within the BluePhoenix Fitness programs that I designed, what I think about when I think about core training and core development, and how I break that up and how I design it into a program. And then I'm going to give you some actual exercises and some exercise demos that you can use in your own workouts to better make use of your core training time and start building a more effective strong, functional core that not only looks great, but also performs great as well. So as always, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, definitely drop those in the comments below the video. If you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you do subscribe, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell so you get the alerts when I post new videos, because we are posting new videos all the time, so you don't want to miss that. And if you have any questions or you want to shoot us a message, either in the comments or drop us a message at BluePhoenix Fitness on Instagram. So here's what most people do when they go about their core training, when they start training their abs. They do it at the end of their workout when they're already tired, and maybe they do some sit-ups, they do some crunches, they grab a stability ball and do some sit-ups on the stability ball, maybe they do some leg raises, they do some crunches, they do some twists, maybe they do some Russian twists side to side like that. And the problem with that is all of those exercises are not actually the greatest things for you to be doing to actually develop your core muscles and to actually develop a functional core that, like I said, not only looks great, but also performs great at the same time for its main uses in your body. So not that there's anything wrong with crunches and sit-ups. They do sometimes will have a place for some people, but the average person who's just starting to work out, or maybe is only a couple years into working out and hasn't developed the strength in their core muscles yet to support things like crunches and sit-ups, probably shouldn't be doing them. There's a whole pile of other exercises that should come first before you start getting into things like sit-ups and crunches. And that's where most people get this all completely wrong, is they, right out of the gate, you jump right into doing things like crunches and sit-ups, which are really hard on your spine, especially if you're carrying 10, 15, 20, 50 plus pounds of additional weight. When you have that around your waist, that makes things like sit-ups and crunches even more problematic, let alone the stress on the spine from the actual movement. So take the time to actually do some of these exercises I'm going to show you. Think about it this way that I'm going to talk about here in a second, and build that functional core that supports your spine, that supports your torso. And once you get into better physical condition, you have a stronger core, you have, you're at a more appropriate body fat percentage for yourself and for your body, then you can start adding in things like sit-ups and crunches if you want, or maybe not, maybe you don't want to, but make sure you put in the time first to build a solid foundation before you start getting into trying to do sit-ups and crunches and twists and things of that nature. So when I think about core training and core development, I will actually put that as the very first couple of exercises that I do, the first section of exercises that I do in a training program. When I'm designing a training program for myself or for the BluePhoenix Fitness coaching members, I actually put that first. Core development is the very first section that we tackle. Now this is a little bit of a personal preference, but there is a reason for this. I prefer to put it at the top before we do anything else, because it gets your core activated. It gets some connection into the core musculature. It gets your core turned on, gets the ab muscles turned on, so that when we get into the later exercises, maybe we're getting into some squats or some lunges or some presses, some push-ups, you have good support. Your core is already firing, it's already turned on, it's already activated. So it's gonna better support those exercises that we're doing later on that do require some core activation and some support through the torso to do them effectively. Now, if you're the type of person who just really loves doing your ab training at the end of your workout, no problem. It's negligible the differences that it's gonna make. Like I said, it's kind of a personal preference, but that's why I put it up near the top. Now, when we start thinking about actual exercises and actual movements to do, I break it up into 3 categories and 3 types of exercises. So the 3 categories relate to your spinal position, and that is either spine supported, spine suspended, or spine stacked. So spine supported would essentially be lying down. So you're lying down flat on your back. Okay, that is your spine supported. Your spine supported by the floor or by the bench that you're lying on. Spine suspended is something like a plank. So where you're in that, that plank position, you're hovering, and your spine is literally suspended above the ground. So like a plank or a side plank variation, or something like mountain climbers when you're in that position. Spine stacked is when you're standing. So you have your spine stacked from top to bottom. So you're in that standing position, spine is stacked. So those are the 3 categories, the 3 spinal positions that you can be in. Then that gets broken up further into 3 types of movements. So first we have pure stabilization or anti-rotation, where you're holding the position and you're resisting some type of force, but you're completely stationary, you're completely stable, and think of something like a plank, right? You're holding and you're stabilizing. Number 2 is dynamic stabilization. So that's actually where you're stabilizing your torso. Your torso is stable, but your limbs are moving. Okay, so think of something like a mountain climber, where you're holding that position, but your legs are coming back and forth. And third, we have an integrated movement. So an integrated movement is where the core stabilization and the core activation is actually secondary to the movement that you're doing. So think of something like a loaded carry or a farmer's walk, right? Where you're walking with a weight and your core is activated and your core is stabilizing, but it's secondary to the motion that you're doing. Those will be the 3 categories. We have pure stabilization, dynamic stabilization, and integrated movements. So when I think about core development and core exercises, all of the core exercises that I pick and choose for people, for either myself or members in the BluePhoenix Fitness coaching programs, they all fit into those categories. So then when I start getting into adding these into actual workouts, I try to balance them. So depending on the workout that we're doing or the phase that we're in, I'll try to make sure I have a balance of things that are stabilization and with spine stacked, and things that are dynamic stabilization with spine suspended, or integrated movements with spine supported, and the combinations of those categories and movements. I will balance them throughout the person's program, throughout their entire plan, right? And that could be within a 3 to 4 week training phase that we're in, or it could be within a 3 to 4 phase training plan that we're in. So now that you know kind of how I think about core development and core exercises, let's get into some actual exercises, and I'll show you how some of this looks actually in practice. Okay, so the first core exercise that we're going to talk about is going to be a spine supported stabilization exercise. So this is going to be a dead bug variation. This would be a level 1 beginner type of movement to start to get some activation in the abs to support the spine. Very, very simple, very basic, great for beginners when you're just starting off, or people with some weak core musculature right now. So basically what it's going to look like is we're going to lay down on your back. Again, spine supported. We're down on your back, spine supported, and we're just going to bring your knees up. Okay, so we have 90 degrees in the knees here. So we have knees bent, we have your feet locked, toes up in position, and basically all we're going to do is we're going to draw the belly button in. We want to press, almost like we're trying to press the low back into the ground. We're going to bring your arms up here, and we're just going to hold. So we're going to hold this position, we're going to stabilize, we're keeping our abs tight, our stomach is sucked in, belly button drawn in, and like we're trying to press our low back into the mat. And also we want to bring your shoulder blades down. So almost like you're trying to pull your shoulders into the mat as well. We're not trying to reach. We want to keep shoulders into the mat, arms up, and we're just taking some nice deep breaths as we hold. Tightening right here. And so this we would hold for maybe 10 seconds, 20 seconds, 30 seconds, whatever your current strength is. Start with 5 or 10 seconds if you're just starting off. Work your way up into maybe 10, 20, 30 seconds. Once you get into 30, 45 seconds, maybe a minute of holding, then you're likely going to want to get into some more advanced variations of a spine supported stabilization exercise. But that dead bug hold is a great place to start. Okay, next up we're going to get into a spine suspended stabilization exercise. So like I explained in the beginning of the video, a perfect example of that is a plank or side plank variation. So basically what that's going to look like, we're going to come down your mat again. We're coming into spine suspended. Okay, so your spine is literally suspended over the ground, and we're just going to hold. We're in a pure stabilization, and we're just holding. There's no movement. We're sucking our belly button in. We're tightening in the abs. We're taking some nice deep breaths, and we're just holding that nice plank position. Important thing here, we don't want to be up here. That's wrong. Get your bum down, keep your hips locked. You want to have a straight line from the back of your head all the way down your spine, across your hips, and down to your heels. Again, very similar to the dead bug variation, the dead bug hold that we just saw. You're just holding that position, you're taking some nice deep breaths, and you're going to hold for anywhere from 10 seconds, 20 seconds, 30 seconds. Once you get up to about a minute of holding, then again, you're going to want to get into some more advanced variations to make that exercise and that stabilization a little bit harder, which could be things like plank on a stability ball, plank in a TRX, single leg planks. There's a whole world of them, but getting into more advanced variations is going to be how you develop stronger muscles in that stabilization position. Okay, so next up we're going to get into a spine supported dynamic stabilization exercise. So for this one we're going to do leg raises. So we're stabilizing our spine while our limbs are moving or applying force. Leg raises, we are just going to lay down on your back. So again, your spine is supported by the floor, or maybe you're on a bench doing this, whatever. But basically, hands on the ground, and all you're gonna do, bring your legs up, keeping your abs nice and tight. You're lowering under control and coming back up again. Okay, so your spine is supported, you're stabilizing through your core as your limbs are moving. Now, an easier variation of this would be just knee raises, where you're just basically bringing your knees up into your chest, but it remains the same. Abs are tight and your spine is supported on the ground like that. Again, once that becomes a little bit too easy, then you can get into other variations. The principle remains the same. Your spine is supported and you are stabilizing while your limbs are moving. Next up, we're going to get into a spine suspended dynamic stabilization exercise. So an example of this is going to be a mountain climber. So with this, we're getting into that spine suspended position. Spine is suspended above the ground, right? We're holding this nice strong push-up plank position, and we're just going to do a mountain climber. So we're bringing our knee in and back out. So we're stabilizing as our limbs are moving. So we're coming in, we're under control, abs are tight, and you're right there. So again, mountain climber variations. You could do that a bunch of different ways, but a lot of variations for that, but that is a very basic, simple example of a spine suspended dynamic stabilization movement. All right, so the next one we're going to get into is a spine supported integrated movement exercise. And for this one, we're going to do another dead bug variation. So this one though, we're going to be actually moving as we're doing it. We're spine supported, we're going to be on our back, spine supported, and we're going to come into that dead bug position, right? So here, stomach sucked in, low back pressed into the mat. But now we're actually going to do a press as we kick our leg out. So we're going to kick out and press. Kick out and press. So this is an integrated movement because the press and the leg movement are working together, and our stabilization is almost secondary to the rest of that movement. Okay? Harlow likes these ones also. But we're gonna come down and we're up. So obviously you could have dumbbells in your hands, or if you're just starting off, just body weight like this is likely gonna be challenging enough. But again, just a good example to get you started with a spine-supported integrated movement exercise. Okay, next up we're gonna get into a spine-suspended integrated movement exercise. So for this one, we're gonna be doing a bear crawl variation. So with this, we're gonna be again in that spine suspended, so suspended over ground, but we need movement with this. So a bear crawl is essentially where we're gonna be getting into this position here, and we're just gonna take nice little steps, and we're stabilizing as we move. Okay, so little steps, we're going opposite hand moves with the opposite foot, okay? And now we're keeping your torso nice and stable as we're doing this whole movement. There should be no bouncing, no shifting. You want to keep it nice and stable as you're moving through that motion. Now, if you have more space, maybe you're going to do a little bit more of a length. You could do this for the whole length of 20, 30, 40 meters or so. Or you can just do it back and forth like I was. Whatever still works the same. It's still a spine supported or spine suspended integrated movement exercise. All right, now if we're thinking about a spine stacked integrated movement exercise, that's where we're gonna get into loaded carries. So we're gonna get into things like farmer's walks or other loaded carry type variations. The very simple way to explain that and to show that is just a loaded carry. So you wanna imagine holding dumbbells, you're gonna grab either a couple dumbbells, a couple kettlebells, and you're just gonna carry them. Now with this, you're gonna be keeping a very good posture, keeping your chest up, keeping your torso nice and tight. And with a loaded carry, you're just picking up two heavy things, two dumbbells, two kettlebells, whatever, and we're just gonna walk with them. So you're taking very slow, deliberate steps, and you're just carrying just like you would carry 2 pails or 2 bags of groceries or whatever. But you wanna keep your chest up, keep your torso tight, stomach kind of drawn in and tight through the core. And you're just taking very nice, deliberate steps, right? Very slow, you're not rushing through these, just very slow so that you have to stabilize as you are moving your body through space. So any type of loaded carry would satisfy this category of spine stacked and integrated movement, where the core stabilization, the core activation is actually probably secondary to the actual movement that we're doing, okay? So loaded carries are a great example of that. Okay, so now we're gonna get into a spine stacked anti-rotation or stabilization exercise. So spine stacked means we're standing, right? And stabilization or anti-rotation means we are just stationary and we are resisting the movement. We're resisting, in this case, I'm resisting the pull, the rotation of that cable, right? So I'm stabilizing, I'm holding, and I'm resisting the pull of that pulley. So you're gonna feel this mostly through the obliques in this situation. Think of it kind of like a standing side plank, essentially. But the main purpose, you're standing, your spine is stacked, and it is a pure stabilization, anti-rotation exercise. And finally, we have a spine stacked dynamic stabilization. So this is the one where we are stabilizing our spine, we're stabilizing our torso as our limbs are moving. So in this example, I'm chopping down with that rope from a split stance. So I'm again resisting the rotation, but my limbs are moving across my body as I'm doing this. All right, that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching this all the way through. If you enjoyed this, definitely hit that thumbs up beside the video. I love seeing you guys react to these videos. And if you have any questions, comments, concerns, anything of that nature, definitely drop it in the comment section below the video or shoot us a message on Instagram at BluePhoenix Fitness. And as always, if you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you do subscribe. We're putting out new videos every single week. So hit the subscribe, hit the bell so you get alerts. And finally, if you enjoyed this video, which I hope you did, then you'll probably like some of the videos that I've put up on this channel. So I'll put one of those right here beside my head. So definitely click on that, head over there, and I'll see you there.